Hey, everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day. Let's dive right into season 1, episode 3, Head in the Water. Welcome back to Supernaturalist. This is where we dive into all things supernatural creatures and the stories that have inspired supernatural. I'm your host, Shelley Meyer, and today we're exploring the eerie third episode of Supernatural titled Dead in the Water. This episode introduces us to one of the most chilling types of supernatural entities, the vengeful spirit. In this episode, we meet Peter Sweeney, a boy who drowned in the 1970s, only to come back years later to exact revenge on those responsible for his death. But Peter isn't just seeking justice. He's after something much darker, the souls of the men who killed him. So, let's break down the lore behind vengeful spirits. What's their motive, and how Peter Sweeney's story unfolds in the supernatural universe. We'll also talk about how these spirits are typically stopped, and why Peter's case is especially creepy. What is a vengeful spirit? A vengeful spirit, by definition, is a restless, malevolent entity. It is born from intense anger, grief, or trauma. These spirits don't just haunt for the sake of haunting. They have a mission: to right the wrongs that were done to them in life, but in a way that's far more destructive and violent than just simple revenge. A vengeful spirit is typically someone who suffered an untimely or unjust death, and their spirit becomes trapped between worlds. In the supernatural universe, it's called the Veil. In a lot of other folklore, it's also called the Veil. Instead of peacefully passing on to the afterlife, they linger. They're driven by a need to punish those who they blame for their suffering, for their death, for their pain. This type of spirit becomes very powerful. It manifests physically and hauntingly, and haunts all those responsible, and even their descendants, until they get the revenge they feel they are. What is the vengeful spirit's modus operandi? The MO of a vengeful spirit is usually focused around one thing: retaliation. They target the person or persons who caused their death or harm. And in a lot of cases, the spirit won't rest until every person connected to their death is made to suffer in one way or another. In Supernatural, Peter Sweeney's MO is exactly that. Peter was a young boy who was drowned by two other boys, Jake and Bill, in the 1970s. In death, he becomes a water-bound, vengeful spirit, attacking the family members of those responsible for his tragic end. The story plays out as a chilling reminder that some spirits refuse to move on until they've balanced the scales of justice, no matter how much destruction they cause in the process. And Peter Sweeney, the vengeful spirit in Supernatural. So let's talk specifically about Peter Sweeney's vengeful spirit. Peter was just a boy when he met his tragic end. In the 1970s, Peter was bullied constantly and ultimately drowned by two other boys in a small town. Yes, it was an accident, but sometimes accidents can cause a lot of harm and sometimes death. In this case, he died. 30 years later, Peter's spirit returns to the town seeking revenge on those two boys and their family members. He starts by targeting the family members of the boys who were responsible for his death. One by one, family members begin to drown under mysterious circumstances, kind of echoing Peter's own death. Now, what makes Peter's spirit so terrifying is that his rage is directed not just at the killers, but at their descendants as well. In the Supernatural episode, Sam and Dean investigate the drownings and uncover Peter's story. The key to stopping Peter is understanding the trauma that drove him to become a vengeful spirit in the first place, and the deep pain that he carries. The lore of a vengeful spirit, they have appeared in folklore across cultures for centuries. The most famous example might be the vengeful ghosts in Japanese folklore, such as the Onryo, who return to seek revenge after dying due to injustice. These spirits are often described as women, although of course they're not always women, but they have suffered in life and their anger manifests after death, which brings pain and death to the living. In Western folklore, vengeful spirits are often tied to a specific location, such as a house, or in Peter's case, a body of water. It's believed that these spirits can manipulate the environment around them, using water, wind, or even fire to cause destruction. Water, in particular, is seen as a medium through which vengeful spirits can travel and exact their revenge, which is why Peter Sweeney's choice to drown his victims is both symbolic and fitting for his wrathful nature. In essence, the lore surrounding vengeful spirits highlights the intense emotions that can keep a soul from moving on, whether it's rage, betrayal, or deep sorrow. The spirits' anger make them unstoppable until they get their final act of revenge. How is Peter Sweeney's vengeful spirit killed? Now, if you have watched Supernatural, you're definitely a fan, like I am, obsessed. You know that just because a spirit is vengeful doesn't mean it's invincible. So, how can a vengeful spirit like Peter Sweeney be stopped? In Peter's case, the solution lies in confronting his past. As we learn in the episode, Peter never left the water. He remains bound to it. The key to stopping him involves Jake being dragged down into the water by Peter in order to save his grandson. In the supernatural universe, spirits like Peter can often be defeated by finding their bones and destroying them. But with the vengeful spirits who are tied to a specific location, like water, the solution often involves purification. In this case, Peter needed to take the second man who drowned him. For him, that was purification. This is a reminder that Supernatural often plays on themes of justice and confronting the past. Sam and Dean not only have to deal with the immediate threat of the spirit, they also have to address the pain and anger that fuels it. So in conclusion, Peter Sweeney's story in Supernatural is a haunting one. It's filled with grief, loss, and vengeance. His transformation into a vengeful spirit is a chilling reminder of the power of unresolved anger and the devastating consequences that can follow. His story also highlights an important theme in the supernatural universe. Sometimes the key to stopping a spirit isn't just about physical destruction. It's about addressing the deep emotional wounds that keep them trapped in a cycle of revenge. So, the next time you find yourself near a body of water, you might want to think twice. It might not just be that calm, peaceful surface you're looking at. Could be hiding a spirit with thirst for vengeance. So that's all for today's episode of Supernaturalist. I hope this dive into Peter Sweeney's vengeful spirit has helped you understand the darker side of Supernatural's monster lore. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share. And join me next week as we explore more supernatural creatures and legends from the world of Supernatural. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, not all monsters wear a face.